Hey guys, and welcome to my final basics video of my expansions plugin for Unreal Engine. This is the magic ability system for my plugin. So, getting right into it, the main thing that this uses is the ability component. So, one thing that you gotta know before you use this system and component is that this ability system is very based on the gameplay ability system, but you can think about it a little bit more freely. So I'm sure that Epic and Unreal made that to be more optimized and more performant, but it's a little bit limiting because you have a bunch of different things that you have to use, like gameplay effects and gameplay cues. If you just want to like manually code that, it's a little bit easier to think about, and that's why I made this. So it's also fully multiplayer friendly, which might make it dangerous, but if you're a good coder, you won't let that happen. So in this basic blueprint version, when you begin play, some replication stuff, but you will be, hold on, what is this? Is this a, oh yeah, it's right here. It has starting abilities, which you will get immediately. Starting spells, which are a little bit different. They're not really different. It's just like a categories. Current spell that you're on and spells. So, let me show you something. When I run, or when I jump, those are both abilities. But you wouldn't consider them spells, right? But you would consider this guy a spell, or this guy a spell. By the way, I don't know if you can notice, but when I use my Boogie Woogie ability, that's what it's called, in the bottom left, you got a cooldown right there. That's kind of the difference between abilities and spells. They're the exact same thing. They both come from ability object. I just put them into different categories in case you wanted like magic and then like not magic abilities and stuff like that. So obviously current spell is for the selected spell that you have, that you had. And first of all, you have to be granted your spells. This array is for your spells, and these are your starting spells. So these, you don't get these immediately. This is just a list of ones that you want to be given, and this is your actual list of them. And so the C++ version has the array of actual ability objects. That's why you can't see it here. But you can see it here somewhere. Starting abilities. There we go. So finally, when we on begin play, it eventually gets to this server grant. This is multiplayer replication stuff. It'll give you all of your abilities. Grant them just like in the gameplay ability system. And we do that so that we can keep the object on your player even when the ability is deactivated, so that it can still do stuff like and execute code, but it'll be off. If you just give you the object, do some things, and then get rid of it, you can't do anything. The object can't do anything because it's destroyed. That's a reason why we grant it. Also, so that you can't just like use any spell or ability without being granted it as well. And then we move on to the spells, and you add them to the spell array. So that's on begin play. You have to be granted your abilities. And then there's your input. So I press F for my spells, and it just gets my list of starting spells, and whichever current spell I'm on, it'll do the specific one in the index. And so you can either do start ability by class, or input press by class. And you have 3 different payloads to use. So really, if I could hide these, which I don't know how to do that yet, if I figure that out, I will hide these in like a, let me show you, print. I will add this to it. I don't know how to do that yet. But these are just payloads for you to use. You can have an object payload, float payload, so you don't have to use any other two, transform payload, because that's kind of popular sometimes. But really, all you need is this guy, input press and ability. And the reason why we have an input press is because what if you want to check if you're pressing a key inside of an ability? And you can't really do multiple inputs for this. This is the same one over and over and over again. Unless you manually set it up to do it like that somehow, which I think is totally possible, but kind of difficult. But anyways, input pressed and released, and this doesn't have a payload because it's not likely that you'll need that. But you can imagine what this is for. This is mainly for the Boogie Woogie ability. Input press to start the ability. Hover over somebody, input press and release to swap with them. Or input press to start the ability, input press to select the first person, hover over someone else, and input release. So that's kind of how that works. If you didn't understand it, when you get the plugin, you can go into ability stuff, Boogie Woogie, open this guy, and here it is. I tried to make it as nice and compact as possible. It's not always going to be possible, but if you just go through this, this should explain to you how it works. And I didn't do this in C++ to show you that this is all blueprint friendly, but you could totally do this in C++ if you want that optimization. So here's my other abilities. Left shift just starts the ability run. Spacebar starts the ability jump. And also anti-jump or whatever. Stop jumping. I don't know why they have that, but they have it, so I'm going to do it. So that's the component. So let me show you how to make some abilities now. So I'm going to do this in here. Blueprint class, LE, ability, oops, I can't spell, ability, object. So that's where your component is if you want to derive from that. This is how you can make tasks, just like in gas. They're kind of difficult, but they're very, very useful if you figure them out. Then ability object. So I'm going to select that, and I'm going to call this, like, let's just make a dash. So you're greeted with nothing, just like any other object. You do need some stuff like activate ability and deactivate ability. So I'm just going to put that there to remember to use that, because you can't activate an ability if it's already activated. You have to deactivate it first, and then you can activate it again. Or if its cooldown is still going, you can't activate it either. So there's a couple of more functions that you can use. Commit ability does the cooldown, and you can make it do other stuff too. So commit ability, this is when you actually commit it, but this is your implementation of it. So you can super call it as well, which just does the cooldown. Then you can do, like, I don't know, other stuff that you'd like to do, or make your own version of the cooldown. But you don't actually need this to work. You really just need these two. So let's look at the class defaults. Icon, not incredibly useful right now, but if you make it a spell, you can use it with my thing right here. Cooldown, let's have like a 0.5 second cooldown for a dash. If you want to check if you're doing an input or wait for a timer to go down, those are all ability tasks, and this will automatically destroy them when you deactivate the ability. And these, of course, are the booleans that allow this to work. So let's get started with our dash. We can probably put the character through here and impulse him forward a little bit. So let's make this just a spell as well. Whatever your velocity is, you will dash that way. So let's go to the ability component. Let's do a different button. Let's do control. There we go. Left control. We're just going to start an ability, and this is going to be dash. Hold on, I don't even think we need to do this, because the ability has a reference to the owner character anyways. Owner actor. Bam. Okay, that's so much better. I made this, by the way. I just forgot, because I made this a long time ago. When we press control, yeah, let's get the velocity. Get velocity. Cast to character. Add impulse. Character movement. Yeah. There's like 6 add impulses, and I'm not sure which one is actually the correct one. I think multiple works. Velocity change. I don't think so. So let's multiply this by, let's convert to float by like 10 or something. Let's do a big number just to make sure it works. And then deactivate ability. Oh, actually we need to commit the ability first. Commit. Because we have a cooldown, and then deactivate it so that we can do it again after the cooldown is over. So when we press control, it should get our velocity and add an impulse. Okay, it did not work, so let's start debugging. Dash. Okay, so here's something that I forgot to do. We weren't granted this ability, so let's just grant it right now. Just add it to the ones that were granted. Dash. Perfect. And then let's like put this back. Print. Hello. Look at that. Got a big dash. Oh, it also goes upwards as well. And of course, if you wanted to be cool and stuff, you could create an item. I'm going to go back to the one I had before. Go to our bread and add an ability. Dash. Start ability. And we'll get our ability class. Just so that it's like specific. See if this works. It works. Perfect. Okay, so that's how my ability system works. So that's probably the best part of this plugin. Everything else is a little bit buggy, but works. But this one is like pretty much perfect, and I'm not done with it anyways, and I will continue to add to it, add more ability tasks. Again, if you want to see how the other abilities work and the other parts of the other abilities work, definitely go to Boogie Woogie, because this has so much stuff. First of all, the line trace happens on your client. It waits for you to press the F button again, so you start the ability with F, then it waits for you to press F again, and if you're hovering over somebody, it will continue and do stuff. If not, it'll deactivate the ability, and then it'll wait for you to release the F button, and then if you're hovering over somebody else, it'll swap them. If not, it'll swap you and that first person. So you've got your wait input press ability task, wait input released ability task, wait a specific time ability task, and line trace task. So that's a little bit of Boogie Woogie and how it works. And that's pretty much all I want to say for my ability system. So that's my entire plugin right now. Future updates will include water, like the water plugin from Unreal, but I wanted to see if I can make my own. So water, waves, and buoyancy, because I eventually want to make like a pirate game. But I also want to add procedural generation stuff like terrain, buildings and cities, dungeons and caves. I might set up an AI, like a behavior tree that's just really good or something like that you can edit, or use learning agents and like have like a setup for that if you can actually do that. And have them be able to use abilities too, which would be great. I will also add gameplay tags into all of this, at least the ability system, because gameplay tags are amazing and I love them. Also, maybe a save system setup, a storage system for the inventory, and there's a couple of bugs that I will fix as well. I thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoy my plugin. Hope you enjoy these videos. Bye-bye.